back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so I'm here today to recommend to you two books that I've recently read. One is a science fiction and one is a fantasy. So the first one is the science fiction, and that is New York 2140, which is by Kim Stanley Robinson. This was my first chance to read a Kim Stanley Robinson book, and I definitely was excited to get into this. I've actually got a physical edition, but I've lent it to my boyfriend so he can read it, so I'm just going to put a picture up for you guys. So this book is based in New York. It's set in the year of the title, and it's set in a world where climate change has really gone drastically wrong, and the sea levels have drastically risen up so that New York, even all the skyscrapers, are nearly all underwater. So the foundations of these skyscrapers have been shored up by humankind, and now people live in humongous skyscrapers, much bigger than they ever used to be. They've been expanded upon and risen up out of the water level, and people live at the very tops. So we follow a group of different people, all of whom sort of focus in on this one building. So either they live there or they have a connection to people who live there, and each of them is some way tied to this one particular building. We follow quite a lot of different storylines, so I'll briefly recap them for you. So we have Franklin, who is this guy who is very into financial stuff and he hedges things for other people. We then have Stefan and Roberto, who are two young boys who like to go treasure seeking. We have Amelia, who is a cloud starlet. She live streams her life whilst she is an environmental rescue person. She goes around and rescues animals from climate change situations that are putting them in jeopardy and moves them to other places on the planet where they will be safe and be able to repopulate. We have Mutt and Jeff, who are two characters who have been kidnapped in the very early stages of the book, and the kind of plot starts off with them being kidnapped and the people of this building not knowing what's happened to them or where they've gone, and we do get little snippets of their storyline where they're being held and so on. We have Jen, who is a police officer. She lives in the building where most of the others live too, and so she gets involved in the kidnapping and trying to find out what happened. We have Vlade, who is the security guard for this building that they all are based around. He's a really fun sort of character who kind of really lifted the tone at times, and I definitely liked seeing him. And we have Charlotte, who is on the board of directors for this building, and she's quite a feisty older lady character. Definitely got some sass to her, and I definitely liked seeing her, but she also irritated me at times. So I think what I really liked about this book is the sort of sciencey nature elements of this book. The really interesting look at climate change science fiction is definitely good, and I liked that a lot. I think the coolest plotline in terms of like reality and what would really happen was the migration of these animals, the forced migrations that Amelia does. I really liked seeing that, and I really liked her plotline. She is a bit of a weird character. She's quite flighty, and she reads as quite a fickle character, but her storyline was good. I also really liked the moments where the city itself kind of came to life, be it through like a surge of water or a swell, or there are moments where we get told the history of the city and we get told the events that have happened there. There's a character who's just called Citizen who kind of gives us historical background at times, and I do feel like Kim Stanley Robinson has managed to bring the city of New York to life. It feels like it is its own person, its own character, and that's really well done, so I like that a lot. My problems start when it gets to the point of the story where it all just became a bit boring, and that's because it's very financially based. There's a lot of economics in this book, so if you're not interested in that, you may struggle. It's very based around the whole problem of this climate and what it's done to the city, but there is some interesting plot lines with the animals and the treasure seeking. Like, those are good fun plot lines, but for me personally they were too minor, and the major ones were a bit boring. I really disliked Franklin as a character. I didn't really care about Jen. I found Charlotte to be a bit of a prickly one who I didn't always kind of agree with, and I found Amelia to be particularly fickle. I liked Vlade, I liked Stefan and Roberto. Mutt and Jeff were a little bit of a background plot line. So on the whole, it was just a very mixed bag for me. There were certain plots that I liked, certain ones that I just found dull, and as a whole it just didn't come together as cohesively as I wanted. It didn't feel like we got a big payoff in the end. I felt like it was a little bit anticlimactic, really. It's interesting, it definitely has quirks, but for me it just didn't do enough, and it certainly felt like there were some plots that were weaker than others. So I ended up giving this a 3 stars overall. It was a good read, but it definitely wasn't one that I loved, and I don't feel particularly motivated to go on to another Stanley Robinson read soon. I don't know, I feel like I should and I want to maybe try him again, but I don't know, I didn't feel like hugely motivated by this one. So 3 stars for that. Let me know if you think I should try any of his other work and where I should start with them in the comments. Now, moving on to the other book I'm going to talk about, which is a fantasy one, and that is this one, Jade City by Fonda Lee. This book is one that I was much happier reading and I really enjoyed. We follow an island which is called the Island of Kekon, and on this island there is the power of green bones, which basically means if you have jade and you are born to a green bone family, then you can use the jade to enhance your skills that you already possess. So you can enhance like your physical prowess or your fighting skills, so on and so forth. It can make you more agile, it can make you faster, better, stronger, etc. This single race, Greenbones, are the only people in this world who can wield the jade magic. And within this race there are 2 major clans, one of whom is called Clan No Peak and the other one is called One Mountain. And these 2 clans have for many, many years fought over territory on this island and had many skirmishes and drive-by shootings and things like this. They're very much gangs. Over the course of the last few years there have been many, many skirmishes and fights and shootings and deaths of the clan members, but it's never really risen above that, whereas now there is a new generation of people coming through the families, and this kind of starts more of a warfare than ever before, and it actually does turn into a full-blown war. Alongside this warring society, we have the production of a new drug which is called Shine, and this is supposed to give users protection from being able to use jade. So people who could not normally wield jade, if they have Shine, they can use it and they can enhance their abilities. However, it does have some very bad side effects, and it is starting to be sold on the open market, which is very much disrupting the trade of the people who are green bones and who trade in this stuff and do things using jade for money. So we follow quite a few different characters. We have Shay, who is part of the No Peak tribe, and she's a young woman who left the tribe to go and try and seek a kind of normal life away from the island, away from the bloodline that she's part of and the magic she inherited. We have Andon, who is a younger cousin of hers, and he's one of these people that a lot of people in the family look on and dote upon. He's currently in training at the academy and he is trying to go through the process of claiming his jade by graduating the academy. We have Hilo, who is the Horn, which is basically like the bodyguard, I suppose, of this tribe. He's second in command to his brother, Lan, who is the Pillar and the current leader of the No Peak tribe. Hilo has a really brutal reputation and he's definitely someone that the other tribe fears and is a threat to them. Whereas Lan is much more placid and able to resolve disputes and is a very good, solid leader for the tribe at this time. We also have the weatherman, Doru, who is kind of like an advisor to the tribe, and he's an older fellow who has been with the tribe since before Lan's father kind of came to power. He's advised his father, and he's a very useful tool. I personally tend to find that fighting in books and warring and politics is something that I really struggle with and I don't enjoy. But in this book, I felt like it was very fast-paced and catchy, and it didn't feel like it was dragging out. It didn't feel like it was overly done. It felt like there was actually a lot of conversation going on besides the fighting and the warring and the politics. It definitely seemed like there was a lot to keep you busy as a reader alongside all of that, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely liked the characters of this world. I think it was one that certainly intrigued me. The magic is something that you find out a bit more about as you kind of develop through the story, and I liked learning about that. But particularly, I just found this a really fun, fast-paced, punchy fantasy that was quite different, quite urban, quite unusual, but really, really well done. And I certainly enjoyed reading it, and I certainly want to continue the series as it goes forwards. So I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely recommend this one, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you guys have read this, what you thought of it, or if you've read any other work by Fonda Lee, because I think she's got a few other books out as well. Do let me know that too. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know which of these books is your favourite and which one you'll be picking up if you haven't already. And I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.